We're having a bad hair day, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, so we are sitting here enjoying the nice, beautiful weather that has come fairly early for Missouri this year, but it's been fantastic. So my kids are outside playing. I stepped inside real quick just to record this for you, but I was just going to put together all of my favorite fall crafts that I've made in the past together for you so that they're all in one place and that you can get started on your fall crafting, because we know that we got to get started early so that they're done in time. So enjoy this video of all of my favorite fall crafts and how they turned out. So let's just get into the video. The first one we're going to do is this dupe of this Pottery Barn wreath. So this retails for $89 and it's out of stock. It's actually like I think one from last year. The first thing you'll need is a wreath form. You get this one at Dollar Tree. I got the biggest one that they've got. And then you will need a bunch of these clip-on pumpkins. I used 24 packs. And you can get a whole bunch of different kinds at Dollar Tree. You just pick whichever one you like. But they have these clips on the back, so it's literally you just clip them on there. And that's the extent of it. Like, it was just super easy. They do kind of like wiggle around a little bit, but the more pumpkins you put on, the more they will stay. With 25 packs of pumpkins and the wreath form, it didn't end up being my cheapest DIY, but still I think it turned out great and was still cheaper than $89, and I love it. The next dupe we're making is this $85 ghost pillow. So I didn't want a pillow, one, because my kids would just claim it as a stuffy. Two, I've got too many pillows on my couch. So I still liked this and wanted to make something similar, but ours is just going to sit on top of a table. So you'll need 2 of the ghosts that they sell at Dollar Tree and 2 of the paper towel holders that they need. The inside of these hanging ghosts that they have is like the perfect shape for this, but then the paper towel holders act as a stand for it. Then you'll also need some Sherpa type material. What I use is actually a blanket from Five Below, so I only paid like $5 for it. And then I need hot glue and some felt. So I had my husband use some bolt cutters to chop off the very tops of the paper towel holders, and then was just able to slide the styrofoam heads down into those paper towel holders. Next, I cut my Sherpa blanket into 4ths and then use that to just drape over it. Since the form of the old ghost still has those little arms, you're able to position those into perfect location. I cut off the excess and then secured the Sherpa onto the styrofoam with some hot glue. And then I cut out some eyes out of some scrap felt pieces that I had. So I wanted to slow down and show you though how I got the pumpkins to stay. So this is really hard to do with one hand, sorry. The pumpkins I use are actually left over from that first craft that we did. All I had to do was pull the little clip off of the back, and then they're made out of styrofoam. So it made it super easy to attach because the very end of the hands and here are just wires. So I was able to take those wires and just stick them straight through the material and then stick them straight into my pumpkins. And then just look how they turned out. They're so stinking cute. I just gotta try not to get any like spaghetti sauce or anything on them while they're sitting right here next to my stove. The next Pottery Barn dupe are these lit woven bats. I can't figure out how much these actually cost originally on Pottery Barn because whenever I search for them, I can only find like out of stock right now. But I found some dupes from them on Walmart and they were $67 for a set of 2. But you can get these cute little sparkly bats at Dollar Tree. I got 3 of them, and then I found some black raffia on Amazon. I'll link to it down below. So the part that has the purple tinsel just pops right back off, and you could remove the purple tinsel and pop it right back on, but I decided not to because I wanted to be able to see through the wings a little bit more. But I will say that it makes it a little bit more sturdy. The black tinsel comes off really easily. It is just hooked around a few hooks that are around the body, and then the stuff on the wings is just hot glued on. So it comes off pretty easily. You can sit there and pull it off forever, but you wrap it around enough, you won't ever be able to see that. So I wrapped the black raffia around until I just started to like the look. And then you can get the sparkly lights from Dollar Tree as well, or if you have some on hand like I do somewhere. You can add those, but I kind of liked the more simplistic look, so I didn't add the sparklies, but hung them up on my wall, and I really like how they turned out. The next dupe we're gonna do is these handmade terracotta pumpkins. They're also out of stock, but even the smallest one is $79. I don't even want to know how much the biggest one is. I scoured thrift stores for some jack-o'-lantern pumpkins and couldn't find any of them. So I went ahead and just caved and bought these from Walmart. The big one was $20, the little one was $10, which was more than I wanted to pay, but I actually found this even smaller one at the thrift store for $7. So honestly, I didn't think the price that I paid for the ones from Walmart were that bad. You might remember I did something similar to this last year, but the paint for those are coming off. So this year I want to make sure that I did everything to keep that paint from coming off. So I first sanded it, and then I used a can of spray paint primer. Last year I did the hack of mixing baking soda with paint. This year I'm getting lazy, so to add texture I used this stone spray paint. I just did a light coat of that to give it some dimension and really give it the terracotta look. Then I found a terracotta colored spray paint from Lowe's. I kind of wish that I would have gone with a little bit more of a brown color, but again, I'm getting lazy this year. But as same as last year, I coated it with some flour and then dusted it off with a old makeup brush. Sorry, my garage light is on a timer, so that's what happened right there. I did try to seal it with just a clear spray sealing that I have, but that took away, kind of dissolved the flower look. So I dusted some more flour on that afterwards, and then this is the finished product. I want to add some fairy lights to it, but I gotta find mine. I don't know where they went, lost in the packing process. This is a surprisingly cheap leaf tray for Pottery Barn, but also a Pottery Barn dupe that I knew I would be able to do cheaper than $30 or even $20. So I found this tray at a thrift store. No, it's not a thrift store. I think a yard sale. And I'm thinking somebody else also tried to DIY this one and then stamped Pier 1 on the back. I don't know. I don't think it's Pier 1. If you can't find one at the thrift store or yard sale, you can get this one at Dollar Tree, which is actually even a better shape, closer to the Pottery Barn one than the one I've got. But I also found this at Dollar Tree. I know it's not a leaf, it's a pumpkin, but I decided to do the same thing with it as I did the other ones. So I did the same process as with these. The first couple of steps as I did with the pumpkins, I sanded them down a little bit and then I coated them with a can of primer. And then also to give them the texture, I spray painted some of that stone spray paint. But one thing I did differently was before the stone spray paint dried, I put my black on there. It kind of toned down the texture a little bit, which I really kind of liked. The last step, I used a paper towel to dab on some gold paint to give it that like slightly gold color that the Pottery Barn one has. And I really liked how these turned out. I had most of the materials already on hand. I paid less than $5. I think it was like obviously $1.25 for the ones from Dollar Tree, and then I paid $2 for the one from the yard sale. But yeah, they turned out super cute, and this was a very easy craft to do. Anyone could do this one. This next one is not a Pottery Barn dupe or really a dupe at all. It's just a viral craft that's been going around that I really wanted to try. What you need is a white pumpkin. I got mine. It's the carvable one from Walmart. And then a pack of pressed flowers. I found this pack on Amazon. I'll link to it down below. And then you also need Mod Podge and a paintbrush. So you paint on a thin layer of Mod Podge, put on the flower, paint on a thin layer on top of it, and this is what you get. I have been obsessed with amber glass items and leather. Whoops, sorry. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do is try to make it out of some thrifted pieces of glass that I have, Mod Podge, and brown food coloring. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so first step is to make the mixture. And from the video that I followed, there is no science to it. You just measure with your heart. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add a few scoops of this until my heart is content with it. I can get it open. Okay. My first one is I found this little cute pumpkin. Look how cute it is. At the thrift store for like a couple bucks. And I'm a little worried about this like lip here, but Okay, that was a lot messier than I expected. I also did not expect to use almost this entire bottle and probably about half of this. So maybe not as cheap as I thought it was gonna be, but we'll see, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Next step is to leave it and let it rest for about 2 hours. So see you then. And for dinner tonight, we're having glassware. Just kidding. The next step is to bake them at 200 degrees for 2 hours. It's already 8:30. I guess I'm having a late night tonight. All right, there they are. They look a little bit more orange in your camera than they do in person. They look really brown, but they're not perfect. Like you can see, like there's dark spots all over the place. I'm happy with them. And I'll show you them styled. Okay, so I think overall I would do this again. There was a few things I would do slightly differently. One, do it outside. I made a mess, quite a big mess, and then I would also use the tablecloth that I could actually just throw away. Like the one that I used, like I don't care that it got dirty, like it's my crafting tablecloth, but it's still, it just would have been a whole lot easier to clean up if I just would have watered it up and thrown it away. Second of all, the tutorial I followed said to do this on popsicle sticks, like let them drain out onto popsicle sticks. Now that I just don't feel like it got it off high off the table, I can't talk, get that off the table high enough. So eventually I did transfer it over to like this cheap cooling rack that I have, but even then I don't think it was high enough off the ground because then it just kind of puddled there and then like the puddle sealed it off so that it couldn't keep draining. So I would get a better quality cooling rack or like somehow prop it up to be like higher off the ground. But overall, I'm happy with how they turned out, because if you shop for amber glass at any store, you're probably paying like 16 bucks per vase. I paid $1 divided by some materials, so we'll figure out exactly how much. I'll put it right here. On average per glass. So yeah, I'm happy with it. The next craft that I did was I wanted to make those giant candles that you see in stores now, and I used these candles from Dollar Tree, melted them down along with this old candle that was left over from a craft last year that didn't really work out too well. And then I forgot to record a whole bunch of steps, and this is how it turned out. But I reused the wicks from the Dollar Tree candles and put them in here and pretty much just poured it all into here. Again, very messy, totally worth it.
Quick, wanted to let you know that the paint on these are peeling off, so I recommend you lightly sand them and prime them first before you paint them.
We're going to take this $5 stacking pumpkin set from Dollar Tree. We're going to use paint, baking soda, and flour to hopefully get a terracotta look. So I'm excited for this one. Okay, so the first step is to mix up your paint colors. I'm going to use this rusty color. I'm going to use a whole bunch because I'm hoping to be able to cover all 3 pumpkins and not have to remix it. Okay, that did end up a little bit more pink, but I'm just gonna go with it because I don't have patience. Anyway, then we're gonna add a little bit of baking soda so that we can get a nice like grainy texture. And I'm gonna add, just measure with your heart. There is no right or wrong answer to this. All right, and the next step is to paint on this mixture. I should have changed shirts. This isn't working. work shirt. Okay, we're gonna let these dry and then I'll come do a second coat. Time for coat number 2. Okay, now that it has a second coat on it, the trick to give it a real terracotta color or coat looking thing, I did a terrible paint job, but whatever, is to sprinkle flour on it. So that's what we're gonna do. So the trick that I used to get the perfect like flour coating on this was to use my sifter and just sprinkle it over there, and then take an old makeup brush and kind of dust it all over the place and the places that I wanted it to. Again, this was a very messy project. I don't know what is up with me and picking the messiest things I can possibly do, but they're totally worth it because I love how these turned out. Wait until they dry and then I'll show you the final result. I put some green moss on it and then put it outside next to the sign that I also made. The sign didn't turn out as well, that's why I didn't record anything, but I like them out there together. I think it's very cute. Okay, last DIY that I have for fall is I'm gonna take these thrifted, well, you can get them at Dollar Tree if you can't find them at the thrift store, but I thrifted them for 50 cents each, and I'm gonna cover them in this Dollar Tree leather. Fake leather, but still leather. And this one is actually not messy. You just need a hot glue gun. Anyway, the last one is this jar that I got at Dollar Tree as well, and an old soap pump that I just screwed off from an old soap bottle. So what we're gonna do, put them two together, and then we have a cute little soap dispenser for fall. I added our favorite brand of soap, which is Grove Co, because it's the only thing that my husband can use without his hands breaking out. But I also love that they come in a ton of different scents, and this one is perfect for fall. In my new house, I really wanted a garland for my new mantle, but I just didn't have the budget for it. So we're all about using what we have here. And what I did have is a whole bunch of these stems that I used to decorate the old house in jars just all over the house. But I don't have a place for those jars now, so instead I just use some floral wire to attach them all together and make my own garland. Next, I got these stems at IKEA a long time ago, and just am not a fan of the almost pink color that they have become faded from the sun. So again, we're using what we've got, and I have brown spray paint and the old stems. So did you know you can just spray paint the stems? And I'm sorry, my camera quality here is really bad because I'm just trying to spray paint and not really focusing on getting them in the camera. But anyway, as you can see, a little bit of the brown spray paint took them from what they used to look like on the right and turned them into what they look like on the left, and I am just so much happier with those. Last for today is I have one of these canisters from Walmart, and I have just become really obsessed with it because it is just really fun to change out what is inside of it for every season. So obviously I don't use it to actually put like sugar or baking needs in it. I just display things for the season and then put it on my countertops. Alright, and there you have it, all of my favorite fall crafts. I appreciate you guys watching. I would really appreciate if you liked it. Tell me what your favorite one was down in the comments, and subscribe because I've got more fall crafts coming up very soon as I finish them. So see you guys next time.